All right, welcome to the amateur hour.
All right, we're back. We're back for another one. Today, I don't know how we're going to talk about this, but we're going to talk about sustaining body damage, or are we okay with body damage?
Yeah.
We're going to talk about body damage and our thoughts on it.
So this is really for the full body rigs, right? More than anything.
Yeah. People that can't replace panels easily and quickly.
Or people that just have all tubed out chassis and no sheet metal to speak of. Maybe a couple of pieces.
Yeah.
So I think the reason I was interested in this topic is just because the popularity of doing this is growing, I think. I mean, it seems to me to be growing.
Maybe if you'd quit telling everybody about it.
Yeah, well, sorry. Got a big mouth.
You didn't have a podcast about it, talking about it.
But we're seeing a lot of, newer full body rigs coming out to do rock crawling stuff like,
JLs.
JTs, new Broncos.
Yeah. Cheddar.
And some pickups, right? I don't know. My perception is that it's increasing in number. The number of people that are bringing out pretty new, mostly stock. Maybe a few mods early into their career, if you will, and they're coming out on harder trails, right? Trails where you used to see like a bunch of clapped out rigs, and now it's a bunch of shiny new vehicles, that in most cases I think probably have a payment. And, we talked about this a couple of episodes back, where, we lay out that disclaimer before we start a trail that, hey, it's always a possibility that you'll get body damage, right? And, people acknowledge that that's a possibility. They're aware of it. And they're still cool. They still want to go on the trail. And I think, some people have been dismayed at actually incurring some body damage. And, to be honest, I feel bad, dude, when that happens, when somebody gets a boo-boo, right, on a nice rig like that. I genuinely feel bad for them, and I feel, responsible, even though everybody's read the trail descriptions and read the disclaimer online, and, they've heard the disclaimer at the driver meeting. I still feel really bad when it happens. I hate to see it, because it's, you can just see in their face, right? They're like, oh shit, I wish this hadn't happened, right? Once in a while you see something like, yeah, proof, here's a scar, right? And they don't care.
Sometimes the rig are built to eat rocks.
Sometimes they are built to eat rocks, and they do.
And that's okay. We appreciate those, but
it's like eating a punch.
Oof.
Right. So what's, what is the level of body damage you're willing to accept, if you get out and get on these rock crawling trails? I don't know. I mean, I haven't really,
Well, what's your level of acceptance?
Well, I mean, now that thing has damage pretty much all the way around, so a lot of it's, minor, it still looks good from a distance, and I'd like to keep it looking that way, but I also don't, like when we were in Farmington, I got into the A-pillar on the passenger side. Boogered it up a little bit. And everybody's like, oh, man, oh, gee, sorry. I'm like, yeah, I didn't really care.
Where was that?
Garage trail.
Oh, coming through.
Yeah, kissed that A-pillar on the passenger side.
Yeah.
So got a little mark that soap and water's not going to take off. So, and most of mine is on that passenger side because that's, it's the side you can't see, right?
Yeah, mine's on my driver's side.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think if you're doing this stuff with regularity and it's what you like to do is hard trails, right? If you're driving a full body rig, you're, I think, generally accepting of whatever happens.
Well, I think
You try not to, but in Florence, fell on my side, right, against that rock, and oddly, that wasn't bad, right? Got a little bit of shit on the door hinges and the B pillar. It was the next day when, or maybe later that day, when a branch came in
and
to
opened
the
your door
door
for you.
latch, and the door flew open and got hung up in my front tire
And destroyed the door.
and destroyed the door. So yeah, but even that, it's like, if that's the worst thing that happens today, especially on that trail because it was so hard,
Yeah.
right? Like that's nothing compared to the things that could have happened, right? Your steering was out. You had no power steering or hydro assist. Some manual steering on the hardest trail we've done ever, in my opinion. So
one, right? I think, look, if people are telling you, hey, you're going to get body damage on this beautiful vehicle you own, listen, right? We're telling you to scare you off, but it's because we don't want your vehicle to get damaged,
yeah,
right?
nobody likes to see that. Nobody wants that.
Right? I don't want mine damaged, but man, it's part of my life now, right? Like brand new corners. We went and did Godzilla.
First time out.
First run and didn't destroy him, but tore him up.
Tagged him.
Yeah, hard.
We've had cases too. We've had situations where we're having a driver's meeting and you're talking about the body damage, and I'm not going to, disclose. I don't want to seem
You're going to
biased.
say you're not going to speak out a turn?
I'm not going to. I'm just saying you may have a couple, a partnership in a vehicle, right? And when you're giving them the talk on the body damage, one partner is going, yeah, no problem. And the other one's going, no, we can't do that. I'm not going to say who's who, but I think you can guess which one's the knucklehead, right? Like, I don't care. Let's go. I'm here.
Well,
I'm here to fuck shit up.
a couple things, right? Like on this body damage thing. One of the things I find surprising, and maybe it's just learning and getting used to it and knowing though, but almost every company makes armor for your vehicle. And they make it for a reason.
So what the detectives would call a clue?
I mean, look, it adds a ton of weight, right? I had a guy, we were wheeling in Texas, and the guy's like, you have 500 pounds of armor on your Jeep. I was like, yeah, I do. And the beauty of it is all I have to do is take it off and replace it at a fraction of the cost of getting real body damage.
Is that how you got the nickname Tank? Because of all the armor?
That is not how I got the name.
All right. So, but now though, right? Are you more accepting of body damage now than you were then? And now would you, lighten the load by...
No.
Because as far as I can tell, the armor has not prevented you from doing anything.
No, but it's kept my body from getting destroyed.
Right.
Right. So if I was really, really, and I kind of am, right? Like, to be fair, we've replaced the rear corners, right? Those other ones were kind of beat up, right? And we replaced them, and $500, $600, $700 later, I don't know actually what it costs, but looked like a new Jeep in the back, right? So I mean, I like my armor for that reason.
It was a new Jeep in the back. It was totally different.
Yeah, it was
Completely
right?
different.
Suspension, everything, but
Bumper, got rid of the tire carrier, different lights.
same lights.
Are they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
same lights.
They just look better.
They do look better, but to the point is that it was bolts. Just had to unbolt it and bolt it back on. And I think another difference is that the TJ's walls are different. The body walls are different. They're much stronger than the JKs and up. Right. That's kind of one of the things about the TJs that was nice about them, and the way you could mount sliders to them. Right. My sliders aren't mounted to my frame because they're through the walls of the body that are thicker. Right. Right. Like, look, there's no attachment to the frame. It's all up in that tub. So, that's something different. And since they make it for the newer vehicles, it's a whole industry, right? I think it's very important. I think people should really look at getting that if they want to continue to do these kinds of trails. And look, I get it. I know it's a cost and it's everything, but once you hit it once, I think that's where you should start really looking into it. One, to cover it up, right? You can get them powder coated or painted in any color you want. Covers up your boo-boo, and then you're protected from there on.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And again, easy fix. So I don't know why.
Yeah, your rocker panels, that's a little different story, right? That on these newer ones, right? That pinch seam and that rocker.
Right. You hit that.
That's expensive.
I mean, no. They have to cut it out to fix it.
Yeah.
And weld new ones in.
So, yeah, good sliders. I mean, we just replaced a set of sliders on mine with some really heavy ones, like 2-inch quarter wall DOM. But the ones that were on it were heavy.
Yeah.
And they were on there for, 2 or 3 years.
Couple years now.
But even that DOM was starting to cave in and flatten out. It's just, but I don't have any damage on the rockers.
Other than what we've cut off.
Yeah. And it's been bashed up against a lot of rocks. So.
Yeah, and I think that's, man, it's just like our other topic that we talked about, but you really got to decide what you want to do with your Jeep and how much you want to invest in it, right? There's products out there that aren't as good as other products, right? They're just not as well built or made out of better material, right? You crush it and it crushes.
Yeah, and
a slider should not crush, really.
You need to know what you want with your build, but you also need to know where you want to wheel. And it's hard because you change, right? You grow and you want to do harder stuff. But, if you know you're going to be rock crawling and you're going to want to do 7s and 8s and 9s.
Well, what do we mean rock
radios?
crawling? Let's define that a little bit. Sand hollow rock crawling? Is it the same?
No, it's not the same.
I mean, as far as maybe having better sliders.
You're going to use them for sure. Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're going to have to get into the side of that vehicle on some stuff. If you're doing hard stuff, if you're just, if you're doing, if the hardest trails you're doing are, 4s and 5s, then yeah, don't worry about it. The factory sliders on these things now are pretty good, if you're doing those easy trails. But if you're going to get into hard shit, do yourself a favor and get good sliders. And if it's on a newer vehicle, like Jason said, get the weld on, get them put them on the frame.
I think that's the only choice you can do.
Because some of this harder stuff is it's sliders or not, it's on your body.
Yeah. And I'm just surprised. I just think more people should look into it to protect their nice vehicles.
I've seen people take a little kiss from a rock, and that's like it. I'm exaggerating. It's really one person, but I was pretty shocked. Like, it's like, okay, that person just quit wheeling.
But that's okay.
It's totally okay.
Right? If they don't want to destroy their Jeep, that is okay. Or whatever vehicle it is. It doesn't have to be a Jeep, right? Yeah. We've had to come to that realization that we're destroying our vehicles.
Yeah.
Right? And we are planning.
And our finances.
Right.
And our marriages.
Right? But we plan it, right? Like, we know that if I do this, the consequences are.
Yeah. And that's the key, right? I think you need to be honest with yourself about, how much body damage you're willing to accept, and make that decision ahead of time before you go out on trails. And that's going to inform your judgment.
And,
what can you live with? That's
right. What
right?
can you live with?
If you started every trail thinking, okay, if you had this figured out ahead of time, what can I live with? Can I live with smashing my A-pillar and busting my windshield out?
See, for me, that's a real bummer. When that happens, it's going to be a real bummer.
Right. So that might be at the upper end of the scale of decision making, but we know plenty of people who have done it.
And it pushes them
to
the next level.
To the next level, and that decision point.
Right. They never put another windshield on.
Most of them don't put a windshield on again. It's like, okay, I'm done with that.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, when you cut your B pillar off on a JKU or a JL, you're like, okay, I'm out of that phase, right? I mean, unless you're one of those patient adults who do the B pillar kit and you can you get everything painted professionally, and you can put everything back together and it looks right. Mine aren't like that because I did them. So I knew ahead of time.
When that all started.
It's like getting a tattoo below your elbow, okay? Or above your collarbone. You've made your decision. There's no turning back, right? So
yeah, I mean, I think
so you got to figure out what you can live with and do what you can live with. And
right, and if you turn around and don't want to do it,
that's
great. Like,
and anybody that says it isn't is a dick.
Yeah.
Plain and simple, right? I mean, discretion is the better part of valor. Live to fight another day. All of that.
Right. I wish I had, really the finances for another Jeep. One that I could keep nice and drive on the road. Right. I'd really enjoy to just drive to work in a Jeep. Just enjoy a Jeep on the highway. Right. Like, that's not something I can do anymore. Right. It's just not the direction of this Jeep. But I would sure like another one to enjoy that. I mean, that would really make my day. Having a nice JT. Even, like, I don't know that I could not wheel it, but having a nice JT on 40s, just nice.
Yeah.
Just, that'd be the life. But here we are. Little bed in the back, heated seats, nice stereo. Yeah, that would be.
We know how you love camping. It could be good for camping.
Yeah. If I win the lottery, there'll be signs. Oh, and there we go.
You'll be right out here.
In those nice trees.
With your rooftop tent on your JT.
Yeah. Maybe we'll talk about rooftop tents one day.
All right. So any other thoughts on body damage?
Man, listen to the people you're with, right? If they tell you it's going to happen, it's probably going to happen. 'Cause we're just trying to help, right? They make body armor for every vehicle out there. Look into it.
All right. Thanks for your time. Leave us some comments. Let us know what you think about this topic or any others that you'd like to discuss.
Yeah.
And see you next time.